So, and I had been trying, it's a great thing about being a writer, you know. I decided, well, I want to go to New Orleans, so I set a pilot in New Orleans, and they pay me to go to New Orleans to research it. And I'd been trying to come up with a show to put in Oklahoma City, my hometown, for a long time, but nothing ever worked. And this worked. I didn't have to put a square peg in a round hole. It worked for the show. TNT is probably the only network that would have allowed me to put it in Oklahoma City because it works well for their demographics. So it all just kind of came together, and some of the places we go with this character, there's been conversations with the network, but they've been amazing. They've just been amazing to work with. And you'll see in some of the clips why this show is on cable, why it's not on network TV. Should I talk for a minute about sacred media? I mean, you guys being more in the publicity and PR and stuff, and I don't know if this is even what you meant, but what, the question is, media sacred. I think it allows us to share sacred moments together. The Challenger, state funerals, when it really is a family of, over 200 million people wrapped around that TV set, sharing this incredibly emotional. Y'all weren't alive when John F. Kennedy died, but that was, our country stopped for 3 days, and everybody and that was the first time that had happened, where everybody was just glued to the TV. It happens now a lot more. 9/11. I'm from Oklahoma City. The day of the bombing, I didn't leave my house for 3 days because I just wept over what I was seeing in Oklahoma City. So I think those are, through this, box, we've managed to have these incredible sacred connection, because everyone my age, you can have a 3-hour conversation about where you were when JFK died, just as you all will about where were you on 9/11. That's an immediate bonding with someone you don't even know, and it's a sacred this tragedy that happened to our country. And that's because of television. That's because of media. And that's in the real world. There's a lot that's not sacred about television and the business of television. But in the dramatic world, I also think there's sacred moments, incredibly sacred moments. There was a West Wing episode where Martin Sheen railed at God in a church. Did anyone see that? It was amazing. I get chills thinking about it. And the view, whoever was watching that, I don't know if you feel this way, but I was part of that moment with him, And there's a sacredness in that, I think, in the beauty of being able to be touched by something, and from my point of view, being able to touch people. Then there's, people would look at my show, Saving Grace, and go, there is nothing sacred about this. It is it should be yanked off the air in 2 seconds. I think we've had sacred moments in Saving Grace. And everybody's got an opinion. So, but let me get my other glasses. I can't read that. Oh, are there topics that are sacred in what I do? Killing a dog. Killing a dog is, you cannot do that. You'll lose your audience. They will go away, but you can kill people. You can kill 50 people, slice them, dice them, rape them, do whatever you want, and that's okay. But you kill a dog, alarm bells go off all over the place. So that's always been something interesting, I think. How do religion, spirituality, and ethics function in media world? It's messy. It's incredibly messy. It's a dance. And each of us have to decide what kind of person we are, what kind of person we want to be, what kind of writer do I want to be. And there's many times in this town where you've got to make that call. And there's times when you're young and you're not on firm ground. You just don't have the experience yet, and you don't know what to do. And you may do something that you won't do 20 years down the road. Experience is everything. And learning. And just the more time you have on this earth, the more situations are going to come your way. And you figure out how you handle them. I get confronted every day with ethical choices that I have to make, whether it's how I'm going to treat somebody, if I'm going to be honest about whose idea this was. You know, am I going to take the credit, or am I going to say, that's my writer, that's Mark. Mark came up with that idea. Those are all those things every day that I face on a daily basis. When I was offered to do a show about witchcraft years ago. And okay, I'll think about that. And then, I thought about it and went, well, I don't want to do a show about witchcraft. I don't believe in witchcraft. So I passed on it, and that was Charmed, But I didn't want to spend my days. What I do is too hard to do something just to do it, at least at my age. Again, when you're younger, you've got to work, and you've got to learn. An ethical decision faced me at one point. I wrote my very first pilot in the late 80s, and it was about what happens inside a crime scene. And it was called 10 Inside. And I developed it for Fox and then went on to redevelop it 6 or 7 different times at every single network. And at one of the networks, a woman said, I'm going to get this made. We are going to get this show made. You cut to the mid-90s, whenever it was. I get a script, an offer to run a show called CSI. And I looked through it, and I quit reading after 10 pages. 1, because it wasn't any good. And 2, because I was mad. I was mad that this show was being made instead of my show. So did I cut my nose off to spite my face? This town would say I absolutely did, because I'd have 3 spinoffs on the air right now. But that show wouldn't have been the same with me running it. So that was a decision that I made, that I just went, I'm not gonna do this. So, and in this town, people don't understand when you say no. That, they throw more money at you, and sometimes it works. Sometimes you end up saying yes. But no matter what profession you go in, you're going to face those decisions all day long, on a big basis and on a small basis. So spiritually, religiously, I think this town, there's a lot of religious people here and spiritual people here. They just don't like to admit it, and I don't really know why. But when you start talking one-on-one to people, you find out more and more that people believe in God and have a spiritual foundation. So I think there is that in this town. You might have to search it out a little bit, Is that sort of what you were? Okay. Yeah, let's watch the first clip. This is from the pilot. And Grace, I'll set it up. Grace has not been sleeping. She's been working a child kidnapping case that they can't get anywhere on. She went to a bar and got drunk. And we're going to pick her up right after that. And you'll get to meet the angel in this clip.